back. And I love going through that process. And I love, first and foremost, when they first share with me everything that they want to achieve and everything that they want to accomplish. So imagine, an agent comes in and says, I want to do this, and I want to have that, and I want to buy this, and I want to go here, and I want to help these people. And the very next question out of my mouth almost always is, tell me, what are you doing with your time? What are you doing with the time that you spend in the things that you do on a day in and day out basis? As we consider moving in and finishing strong, we have to take a step back and ask the question, what are we doing with our time? If we want to be highly successful in the game of real estate, we've got to take a step back and say, hold on a second. Are my actions in alignment with what I ultimately want? Are my actions in alignment with what I ultimately want? Are you in alignment? Are you saying one thing but doing another? Are you looking for a sunset really in the west, but you're heading east and you're asking, where's the sun? Because the reality is that you can't win this game of real estate moving in a daily and day in out basis, not aligned with your actions with what you want. So, think about this. There's 5 core things that every agent should be doing. And there's 5 core things that if we're not doing them, we're going to have real challenges. We'll have them, no matter what. If you're wondering why the money is not showing up, it is specifically because there's particular, specific actions you are not taking. The strategy for the business of real estate is not hoping and praying. Imagine your shareholders are in front of you. I go into ownership meetings. Well, it's been pretty tough this year. Let me tell you my new strategy. I'm hoping and I'm praying a lot. And man, if it happens, I think we got a good shot at this. It's going to happen. No! That is not your strategy. I mean, Jack Welch years ago, one of the greatest CEOs of all time, said that hope is not a strategy for business. You either are doing the work or you're not doing the work. So 5 fundamentals. Number 1, you got to set appointments. If you're not setting appointments, you can't win the game. This business is not like Las Vegas. I wish it was. Because actually real estate has a lot of losers. So does Las Vegas. And man, all the sparkly lights, it is like heroin for my soul when I walk down there. For a guy who's like ADD, like, wow, man. I mean, most people are like, get me out. I'm like, oh, it feels so good. There's so much happening. It's crazy down there. Because all the losers have lost. It's awesome. Now think about this. Are you running your life in regards to setting appointments? And think about this for a second. Thinking that your business is like Las Vegas. If I put $1 of effort, I'll get thousands of dollars back in return. My favorite question is this. Someone will go to Vegas. Did you win or lose? Oh, I broke even. Liar! You can tell that they didn't. They just don't want to say, I lost. Because that's what Vegas does. You try to put down a little bit of effort, a little bit of money, and you lose. Everyone loses. So here's the deal. The reason the Bellagio exists isn't because everybody's winning. They're losing. So the question is, if you're putting that type of effort, energy into setting an appointment, how possibly can you think that you're going to earn a lot of money? That is a pipe dream. That is a lie. That is deception at the highest level, internally and obviously in your outward actions. So when you consider the number 1 thing that every great agent should be doing is you cannot allow, look what Russ said, you cannot have a day that goes by, in so many words, where an appointment is not set. I don't care whether it's a buyer. I actually don't care whether it's a seller. 1 appointment a day, 42 weeks a year, is a $250,000 income. But doing it only 1 week or 1 day once in a while produces almost no income. Number 2 is that you have got to take listings or put buyer brokers together. Look, either one. Take a listing or put a buyer broker agreement together. Because 80% of the time, once you get to that point, you'll sell it or help them buy a home. But you've got to be committed to that. You cannot allow a day to go by that does not allow you to have at least a contract mentally being signed. You should be able to think through this week going, man, I know I'm going to get a buyer under contract, or I'm going to put a buyer broker, or I'm going to sell or take a listing. One of those two things has to happen. Number 3, just because of time, I'm going to rip through these because I want to get to another very specific point. Number 3 is making sure that you're getting price reductions. As good as you think the market may be, how many have a listing in this room that has been on the market more than 3 weeks? That's it? We have the largest listing inventory in the state. Who has a listing that's been at least 3 weeks? Here's the news. Guess what? It hasn't sold? It's overpriced. People come to me all the time and go, I just don't understand. I can't figure this thing out. I'm really wondering why this thing isn't selling. I mean, it's the best priced home in the neighborhood. And then I usually, if I like them a lot, I'll lean on. I say, hey, come here for a second. Guess what? It's overpriced! I mean, I'm not like a genius, but it's overpriced. And some of you are sitting here going, no, you don't understand. I mean, my feng shui and, the way the lighting and the pictures were, and, the cabinetry, and it just didn't show well, and, no one's really coming to see it. They really don't know how good this thing is. Guess what? It's overpriced. Overpriced. Everyone just say this in unison. It's just a good feeling just to say to your client. We're going to now repeat after me. Hold on. I'm going to say what we're going to say first. You are overpriced. All right, here we go. Ready? Everybody ready? Here we go. 1, 2, 3. You are overpriced. And guess what? It's okay if they hate you. It's okay if they don't like you. Because it's better to be truthful and honest than liked. Right? I always talk about this. I mean, look, I love Jerry Seinfeld. When he asks his wife, Elaine asks him and says, hey, does this dress make me look fat? No, the fat makes you look fat. I'm like, yeah, he must have gone to one of my conversation about price reductions. Okay? All right. Number 4, big one here. You're here, so this is good. I'm talking and speaking to the choir. Participate. Be here. Show up. I love what was said earlier by these guys. Show up. Participate. Participate. There is power in participation. There is power in aligning with people of similar thinking. Look, this organization is larger than me. You already know that. But there's something almost magical that occurs that when you participate, your income goes up. You know it does. And when you struggle and you aren't earning the money you are supposed to be earning, if you will just step back in and you will associate and participate, it almost always automatically goes up. So I challenge you to participate. And then number 5, which is what I want to talk about. And that is communicate with your SOI. You see, I know that if I talk to any agent, if they're making appointments, taking listings, or putting buyer brokers together, if they're getting reductions of price, if they're participating at some reasonable level, and they do everything they're supposed to do with their sphere of influence, everything works, and they are on a steady track for income. Now, here's the deal. The great challenge is that we have to ask ourselves, why are we not doing what we should be doing with our sphere of influence at the highest level? Years ago now it's been years ago, I love to share the story, and so many people are going to be like, oh my goodness, I've heard this story before, please don't tell it again. But you know what? There's one person in here, or at least 2, that have not heard it. Because here's the story. It goes like this. There's 2 people I meet. And I meet them, we sit down, I don't think much of it. But I ask them, and I start asking them questions about their business. And I say, hey, so tell me just a little bit about how you work and how you maneuver through your sphere of influence. And they said, oh, well, we don't do a lot, we just do a little. And I said, what does that mean? How many people are in your sphere? I asked them. Oh, there's like 700 people. A little more than that. Wow, okay. Well, what do you do? Well, we put together this really fancy calendar. And we send it out right before Christmas. And I said, Now, how much money have you earned in real estate? You're like, your best year essentially ever in real estate? And they said, I believe, $115,000, give or take. 17 years in the business. And in my mind, we had one of those moments where we're going to save the day. Like, I felt like I was going to be this knight on the white horse galloping in, going, man, holy cow, are you kidding me? So they go from $115,000, their best year in real estate, but that year before they showed up, from the company won't mention that's white and blue, because no one remembered their job to confront someone when they're not on the right path. The greatest act of love is to confront. You would never allow your children to go down the wrong path and, well, I guess they're just going to figure it out. I mean, they're like shooting up, but you know, whatever. They got to learn. Confront people. When they're being an idiot, tell them, you're an idiot. Come on, what are you doing? I love you. You want to go here, but you're going over here. Some of you are like, well, I'd really like them to like you. How many sellers like you after their home hasn't sold because you didn't tell them the truth? Do they sit there and go, hey, bring it in tight. Come on. It's okay. It's okay, it didn't sell. I love you, man. No, they hate you, despise you, want to take you down, destroy the name of the company, anything they could do to post how you didn't do your job. They say things like when they get called on the expired listing, I don't know, my agent never talked to me, they never even told me. Wait, we were so close, I mean, we hugged. Hugging doesn't sell real estate, just for the record. In fact, I remember Justin Trushansky came to me, he goes, dude, I noticed you've hugged a few people. I said, here's the deal, Justin. If you do something like this significant, I'll hug you. I don't know if we've hugged yet. Justin, have we hugged? Where's Justin? Is he here? Have we hugged yet? Have we brought it in tight?
Yes, we've hugged.
Okay, I'm just checking. It's all right. Never mind. All right? So get back to my story. So we go through this. I'm talking to these people, and I'm like, okay, here we go. I got it. Guess what? Magically, what we're going to do, we're going to actually email once a month. And they actually, when you show up at the party, they're not going to go, are you in real estate? Because, are you still, Mark's, are you in real estate? No, they're going to know because you email them. And then the second thing we're going to do each month, so number one is we're going to email once a month. Number two is we're going to send out, I got that mixed up. I apologize. We're going to, email once a month, and then we're going to mail I don't even know my own rules. Just trying this thing out. We're going to email once a month, we're going to mail once a quarter, and then we're going to call them. Yes! It was like overwhelming beyond measure because the person had a full-time job. So they had to commit. Hold your breath, stabilize, put your arm around the person who's next to you. 3 people a day they had to call. They had a full-time job. Let's not put too much pressure on them. And then the person who actually was a full-time realtor, we really pushed the envelope on this one. 5. 5 people. Magically over that year, they had to call 8 people a day. And they went from that year, $87,000 to $197,000. But then the rules of SOI: be patient, be consistent, and be valuable. Be patient, be consistent, be valuable. Be patient, be consistent, be valuable. So, as the story goes, 85 grand before they came, 197. And everyone went, oh yeah, well whatever. Market's improving, yeah. But then they kept doing it. And then they were patient, consistent, and valuable. The next year they went to 353,000. And then the next year they went to 453,000. And then this year they're on track for $500,000. Because they were patient, consistent, and valuable. Now some of you know who I'm talking about. And now today they're certainly always in the top 10. I believe right now in the top 5 of the company. And that is our good friends, and they let me pick on them, especially Brian at Racquetball once in a while. but Brian and Ruth Ann know well. So we got to let them. So now what people will do for now, Brian and Ruth Ann, they'll come to you and go, how did you do it? You called 8 people a day. And people will go, but seriously, what else? We called 8 people a day. No, but what else did you do? Do you still send out that calendar? Probably, I don't even know. Do you still send out the calendar?
Once a year.
All right, perfect. Perfect. I just want to point out that if you could write this down, the single most important asset that you will build in real estate is your sphere of influence. The single most important asset is your sphere of influence. Every call, every email, every action you take in your life, in this business, should lead you back to building your sphere. Building your practice that has value. And if you are patient and consistent and create value, you will create a legendary business. The challenge is that we become impatient. We let our ego get in the way. We get busy. We work on what's going on right now, not realizing we have a vision to what something could be if we worked hard enough at it. My observation is this, is that you have to have great vision. And if you don't know where things are going and what they could end up being, that's a challenge. So in wrapping things up and closing up today, we have 5 minutes. I just want to share one quick story, and then I want to give you 3 quick principles. But I'm always reminded, and it's my, look, people always think, was there some legendary reason why we are called Everest? I like the fact, you know what I love, guys? You can go to these events. I hope you'll go to the Orlando deal. It is awesome. You know, it has been cool to watch these conventions come together. And the fun part is that I got a call yesterday from the national headquarters, and they said, hey, you spoke a few weeks ago. Have you seen your reviews? I'm like, oh no, I didn't look at them. And the reviews between what John had done and what I had done were consistent, that they said, we would rather hear you speak than anyone else in the entire event. That was the leadership one just a few weeks ago. And that happened over and over. But here's the cool part about that, is that it's a place where we get to unify. You get to associate with people who are making millions of dollars in real estate. Yeah, you see the party, you see the fun stuff, but there's so much great learning that goes on there, and I hope that you'll be a part of it. So here's my observation. It's a story that some of you have heard before. Back after Sir Edmund Hillary had climbed Mount Everest, he was on a stage, and he was in the UK, or not, I guess I should say UK. He was back in England, and he was on stage. There's a big picture over on, I believe, the right side, if I recall, and the story goes. And he walks over to the picture, and he says, and this is, I should say, oh gosh, I got my stories mixed up. You got to work with me, I apologize. He hadn't summoned it yet. He failed. So he walks over to the picture, and he says, you know what, Mount Everest? You've stopped growing, but I haven't. And I will conquer you. So, the next year, he has the chance to summit Mount Everest. And guess what? He does it with Tenzing Norgay, the Sherpa, and him. And they get to the top of the mountain, and there they are. What is fascinating to me, is always just fascinating to me, is that there's only a picture of Tenzing Norgay at the top of the mountain. I mean, if I go to Moab, I'm taking pictures at a lookout point like I accomplished Everest. This guy is on the top of the world and he doesn't even take a picture. But I think that this is the reason. This is my assessment. Because later, after coming down successfully, and he's interviewed by a reporter, and the reporter asks him this, "So what was it like?" You know what he said? "I don't know, I've been there 10,000 times in my mind. It was exactly what I thought it would be." Here's the deal. 3 core things. You got to know where you're going. And you got to have a plan. And you have to have a schedule. It is impossible to win at this game if you do not know where you're going. I've said this a lot over the last few weeks. I apologize for those who have already heard it, but it's a great reminder. Imagine you are just about to ready to start the race of a marathon or an Ironman, just like that Matt just talked about. And everyone's looking at you going, "Hey, where's the finish line?" And everyone standing there goes, "I don't know, we're just running." What? Someone comes and picks you up, your best friend, they show up in the front of the office, they say, "Hey, jump in." First words out of your mouth are going to be, "Hey, where are we going?" You tell your kids to get in the car. First things out of their mouth, "Mom, Dad, where are we going?" And here we sit at the end of a year, almost the beginning of a new year. And I will bet you that some of you this entire year don't really know where you were going. Great leaders, which you are, know where they're going. They know where the finish line is. Do you know where you want to live? Do you know what car you want to drive? Do you know where you want to travel? Do you know whose lives you want to bless? It is unacceptable in this group to not know that. To go through the motions of prospecting, price reductions, taking listings, taking out buyers, and calling your sphere, and all those things I've talked about, and have no purpose driving behind the action to where the finish line is, you're not going to succeed at high levels. So you can get mad at me because you say, "Oh gosh, George, I'm so sick of hearing about know where you're going and protect your mindset and be clear on your outcome." And because I know that if you don't know, I know it's fascinating, but when you are in a soccer match, there's an objective. What is the objective of soccer?
Score the most points.
Right? Goals. When you're on a basketball court, your number one objective is to score what? Baskets. Now here's the deal. Do they make it a secret where their goal is for the soccer game? Do they sit there and go, "We're going to play it different today. We're not going to share with you where the baskets are. So just shoot. Just prospect." "Where are you going?" "I don't know. I'm just prospecting." What are you guys doing? Some of you are clear. I get it. If you are, get more clear. There is clarity and power that unite themselves when you know that. Clarity is key to your success. Clarity is power. And you will move with absolute certainty when you do. So summarizing everything, know where you're going. Know what you're doing with your time. Your schedule, your plan, your vision. Know what you're doing with it. Understand that the role and responsibility of every great leader, great friend, and parent, and anyone else that wants to have success in their lives is to confront another human being to get on the path that they have defined for themselves. You should receive openly, with joy, if you're confronted. Because guess what? It means someone cares. So people can talk about how brutal I am. I recently was told I'm a bully. I'm like, "Oh, yeah, maybe." "Yeah, I'm going to bully you into living your dreams." Okay. And I don't care really what you want. All I care is that you get it. But it has to be an unacceptable truth in your life that you will not live a life that you do not know where you're going. Do you know what's sexy if you're a single guy or gal? Do you know what's awesome when you meet someone who knows where they're going? You want to be attractive to every human being on planet Earth? Know where you're going. and people will follow. Because most of them are lost. And you have a charge and a stewardship like no other organization to lead people to a better way. To choose you to be their agent because it'll be better because you know where you're going. I would hope that when people say, why did they list with you? They say something like this. Because you seem to be the only one who believes they can get it done. Meaning, you know where you're going. That's what this company's about. Know where you're going, and then become the person who's capable of getting there. Becoming. Being. Becoming. So closing question. Who do you have to become to get what you want? That's it. In the end, who do you have to become? And man, that's not easy. Don't kid yourself. Don't be an egomaniac. Don't be the guy who thinks you got it all figured out. Don't be the person who walks around thinking that you don't need any of this. Go be the person who's capable of doing extraordinary things that people will follow, because not only do you know where you're going, but you'll take them along with you. That's a powerful leader. That's what this organization and its stewardship is about. You know how much I love you guys. I have passion. I tell Jen all the time, I love what I do. I love being a part of your life. I love seeing your highs and your lows, and I love to see you suffer. Because you know what it means? Because you're not going to stay there. It means you're going to figure it out. And you're going to get to where you want to go. And there'll be that moment where some of you today will go, you know what? Enough. No more. I'm going to get what I want. You're capable of it. I know it. The only thing that matters right now is, do you? I know you can. And put people around you that know you can, and watch what may happen. It will seem as if miracles have occurred. But the reality is, you just made 8 contacts a day. Right? Right, Brian? Right. Okay, guys. You guys are awesome. Thank you.